Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. Got a really great guest for you today. I'm going to bring her in shortly. As always, you can find this and the back episodes of our podcast at our website. It's called ordinarymarathoner.com. Check it out if you get a chance. You can also find them on the aggregators, places like Stitcher and TuneIn and iTunes. Download that podcast app to your iPhone. Look up Ordinary Marathoner. Find our podcast. If you like the show, hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a new episode that way. You can also find the podcast now on YouTube. We got our YouTube channel up and running. The podcasts are there. It's just really audio only, but just another avenue for you guys to listen to. We also have a few videos up there. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get some more videos up there. I know I owe you guys a few of them, so I'm still a newbie when it comes to that stuff. So I'm working on it, though. I promise. You can also find me at Twitter at OrdMarathoner. That's O-R-D Marathoner. If you follow me there, I'll follow you back. Or you can take the conversation out over to Facebook to our discussion group. We got a really great group of people over there. My guest today is one of the primary ways that I talk to her is through our discussion group. It's really just a great group of people. It's a closed group, so you got to add yourself to it. We'll approve you right away as soon as we see it come through. And you can join the conversation. You can be a lurker. You can do whatever you want. Like I said, there's a really good, supportive group of people. One of those people is with me today. Katy Mayo, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Scott.
You're a little nervous.
I am a little nervous, but I'll be fine. You will
be. It's so we've known each other for quite some time now. Like I was trying to think about it before, and I'm like saying that this is gonna be like we've been talking like almost 2 years now.
I was gonna say I was looking back to see if I could figure it out, but yeah, I think it's been about 2 years, and I was trying to figure out how I came across you.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, I don't know. I mean, I used to live in Boston, so there's like a little, I know you're out that way.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember, or I just kind of came across the Facebook page and thought it was a cool group of people, and it really is too. I love it. It's one of my favorite groups.
Yeah, it's funny, like, I don't know, I follow a lot of different groups because I like to see what other people do too. And so there's like, there's a few other groups that I follow that it gets really chippy and kind of like, they poke at each other and there's like little, anxieties between, arguments, and we have none of that.
No, you don't have any of that. None. Ever.
It's like all adults and it's great. Like I don't even have to I feel like I don't have to police anyone or moderate. I let you guys go and you guys are awesome and amazing. And you're one of the more active posts. One of the things that I love to do is wake up in the morning at my normal time, which is usually like 6:30, and you've already posted because you've already finished your morning run.
Yeah,
it's insane. Yep. So what makes you get up in the morning? So I mean, we were talking about it a little bit before we started this podcast. Like, what time do you get up in the morning?
So my goal is always to be running at 5.
Wow.
So, and I'm not one of these that I can't like jump out of bed and just like have a sip of water and go. I have to like have a cup of coffee, have a little something to eat. I need to like get my stuff on. So that's why I get up a whole hour before I actually go. Sometimes like maybe 45 minutes, but it's just it should become part of my routine.
And what's the alarm set for?
4
a.m.
4.
God bless you. That's great.
Yeah. But I don't, you know what? It doesn't, and people say that to me all the time. Like, how do you get up? Aren't you tired? It's just, no. And I don't even mind getting up anymore.
It's a thing you do. It's your thing.
It's a thing I do. Yeah.
I see, I got to tell you, I've gone through kind of sort of fits and starts with my own routine. And there's been times in my life where I just, for some reason, could wake up early and love to get up and go and just get up and move. Yep. And then now, like, for example, now, I just hit snooze. I just for some reason. I mean, I do get workouts in now. I'm getting like 2 in a day, but it is nice. It is nice to get it done in the morning. I remember like getting up in the morning, and especially on weekends when you get that long, especially if you have a long run, and you're out there. If you're out there at 5 in the morning and you're done. If you run for 3 hours and you're done by 8, or if you're done by whatever it is, isn't it? I mean, you have the whole day ahead of you.
Yep.
So there is something to that. I admire you for that.
And you know what? And it's different because when you go out at like, 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning, there's hardly anybody on the road. I mean, like cars on the road.
Right.
It's just,
So you don't have to worry about getting hit or anything. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. There's something about the morning that's nice. So
now, let me ask you this. So I mean, over the summer, in the kind of like the heart of the summer, you probably get out and it's light out. There's probably like 2 months of the year if you leave at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's light out.
Yep. Yeah.
So most of the time it's dark.
It's dark. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Pitch black.
Wow. So your area, is it like well lit? Is there street lights, or do you bring a headlamp?
All right. So I wear something like a flasher on me to, so I don't get hit or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of lit up, and I try to stay now close to like the downtown area and do like a lot of side streets and stuff, just because, I should probably try to be careful,
right,
and not be running where it's too
dangerous,
desolate, dangerous or whatever. But there's a ton of side streets, so I can run like in the middle of the street.
Right, and you don't have to worry about
tiny, like, what I mean, tiny little like side streets.
Yep.
There's no traffic, so it's nice. And then I run in a different place. Usually, when I do my long runs, there's a park. I don't know, like the next town over. And I've been doing all my long runs there. So, but I won't go there in the dark because that wouldn't be a good idea.
Is there like a path in the park that you follow?
Yeah, it's paved.
And is it like, do you do like loops? Do you have to do so we have Laura Stebbins on the podcast sometimes, and she lives near here, and we have a trail here that is 1.5 miles. So it's so for her to do like a 18-mile run, that's 6 down and backs.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. This is
tough.
On one side, it's like 4.5 miles. It's a loop, then you can cross over the street and add on like another 3, I think. So yeah, it's really nice, and it's a 600-acre park. It's huge. It's big, huh? So
that's great,
and it's paved. So it's in the winter. I found out this winter because I run in the freezing cold too. That they pave it. They pave the road, so it's clear. So when you can't run anywhere else, you can run over.
You can still go to the park. That's interesting, because a lot of times the path that I was just talking about, it's not plowed, so it's all icy and snowy, and it's like 3 or 4 months of the year. Forget it. You can't go there. I don't run outside in the winter anyway.
You don't run in the dark. You don't run in the winter.
I run in the dark. It's just indoors in the dark on the treadmill. Actually,
that's all right.
So I run in the basement, and I have like 2 lights in the basement, and there's one that's directly over the treadmill. But if I keep that one on, then I sweat a lot. I'm so dainty when I run, right? All right.
So let me ask you something about running on the treadmill.
Uh-huh.
And then when you go outside and run, is it a lot different for you? Because somebody told me when I first started, like in the way beginning, which was back in 2014 when I started, I was doing all my runs on the treadmill.
Uh-huh.
And I was getting ready to do a 5K. I was doing the Couch to 5K program.
Yeah.
And somebody said, "Have you run outside yet?" And I said, "No, I'm doing my thing on the treadmill." And I said, "Yeah, you should think about running outside before you run that race." And I was like, "Why?" And they go, "Well, just go out and see what you think." I couldn't believe how much harder it was.
You thought it was harder? See, I hear
way harder.
Yeah, I hear different stories about that. Now, for me, it's harder in ways and it's easier in ways. One of the ways it's harder to run outdoors is obviously the hills, right? Because unless you're programming hills into the or if you're adjusting the hills, which I never really do, I set it to 0, which some people will set it at 1. I just leave it because it's set there, and it's not like a wimpy thing that I'm trying to wimp out. It's just that I'm just too lazy to change it. Yeah. So, and I guess on the other hand, though, running outside, the benefit is just the scenery and the change of scenery, as opposed to just being in the basement all the time and turning away and watching TV and it's so easy. It's another thing. It's just so easy to quit when you're on the treadmill.
Yeah.
'Cause you're home.
Right.
If you're out and you're 3 miles from the house, you have a reason to run the rest of the way home.
Run it. Yeah. Yep.
So, it's there. That's a point of it too. I think as your experience grows and as you use it more, the difference becomes less and less.
Okay.
I think sort of the experience of doing it and so I don't know that there's that much difference. Sometimes it's harder on the treadmill, especially those when you get, especially those long runs, everything starts breaking down. And the difference is like, I don't like reducing speed. It takes you know what I mean? Like,
right.
But when I'm outdoors, if I'm tired, I just slow down.
Right.
But I don't have the same mentality on the treadmill. Like I don't like pushing that minus button. You know, I should do that more often, but it also teaches you sort of like a consistency with pace.
Right.
Because you never change your pace. So I don't know, positives and negatives. I like the treadmill for some reason. And not that I prefer it. I think I would prefer running outdoors. I think sometimes it's the lazy way out. It's just that, the treadmill's here.
Yep.
I don't like running at night. I have, what my fear is though? My fear is animals.
Somebody else said that today too, coyotes. But you know what? Most animals, I don't think they'd go after you. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't think they go after you either. But, I think here is like more like I'm just scared of a bear.
Yeah. Oh, well, you actually have those up
yeah,
there, right?
We do have them up here. We see them every once in a while.
I would be afraid of that.
Yeah. And then I watch someone like Melinda Howard, who's in our group, and she runs.
I know.
Yeah, at 1 a.m. in, Arkansas. God knows they wild hogs and crazy animals out there. But, I give it to you though for waking up early. That's a tough thing to do, and you're consistent with it.
Yeah, I am, because that's one thing I can say. I'm very consistent with my training.
Yeah, you don't seem to miss a day. It's quite impressive. It's inspirational, really. It's it's one of those. Like I said, I wake up in the morning, I turn on the Facebook group, and I'm like, I feel like I wake up early, and I look, and you're already done with 5 miles. I'm like, oh. So what's So all right, so. Now, I roped you into the podcast tonight. It's Saturday. It's Friday night.
Yep.
7:00, which means like normal folk are out partying and having a good time, but us runners, that's like it's pretty much like the most dependable time for a runner to be home is Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we got a long run on Saturday morning.
Yep.
So
that's what I'm doing.
So I'm keeping you up late a little bit here.
No, I'll be a little bit restless tonight because I have the long run tomorrow, but not as bad as I used to be since I started the heart rate training. So
right. So let's talk about that. Let's get into that a little bit. So let's actually say that for this. I do want to talk about that. I want to kind of get into it a little bit. But let's before I get into that, like, how did you? Now you've done a few marathons already. And have they all been Marine Corps?
They've all been Marine Corps. So 2 Marine Corps. This will be my third one in October.
Gotcha. When did you start? When did you start running? Did you start running a long time ago, or
No, I started in 2014, and I was going kind of through some big life changes.
Right.
And I don't know, I needed kind of something to do, and I went to I actually wanted to lose some weight. That was like my plan. So I, went to the gym, doing the whole thing, kind of cleaned up my eating, didn't do anything crazy. And then somebody said, you should really, run this race, this Marine Corps on a run, and it's in May. And I'm like, what are you, out of your mind? I'm like, I could never run that. And they're like, here, do the Couch to 5K program. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try. And I did. I started it on the treadmill, and I'll tell you though, I had to repeat a lot of those days. Like I don't know whether you know how it works or not,
the Couch 5K.
It increases every week. You go up or whatever you do. But there were so many weeks where I couldn't go to the next week. I was like, nope, I got to repeat this week and repeat this week. And, but I kind of stuck with it. And I, in the process of that, or somewhere along the lines, I ended up losing 60 pounds.
Wow.
Which was
that's great. Congratulations.
Pretty good. Wow. And it was really just the running and the cleaning up of my eating. Like I didn't do anything crazy other than that. And I'll tell you, that 60 pounds like fell off. Like it was so easy.
Right.
Can't get this last 10 off. But
it's been 3 years for the last 10.
Yeah, exactly. That's honest to God. That's
I hear you.
I'm trying not to, I'm trying to get away from obsessing over that. And you talk about weight.
All the time. I know.
Yeah, I know you do.
I know.
Because I'm always thinking, I'm like, I'm going to call him out on that when I talk.
People talk. Yeah, you wouldn't be the first.
But it's hard not, and it's hard not to. If that's something that you want to do, it's hard not to focus on.
It's obsessive. It's like it's like a worry.
It's obsessive.
And it is like, I don't know. I think especially when you start getting into like triathlon training and any kind of really distance running, it's like it's such a factor for me when it comes to my performance that it bothers me. And I probably do eat too much, but like I'm really keeping track of things like the calories that I burn, and it's shocking to me how hard I can work and not lose weight, and it's just frustrating and annoying.
No kidding.
I agree with you. And and then I gain weight slowly, and my clothes stop fitting, and I have to buy some new stuff, and I'm like, I told myself I'd never get there again, and it's just frustrating and annoying. But I've been on, I know you've been listening, we've been chatting. I've been on a pretty good tear the last month.
Definitely.
And and I feel good about it. And I'm not even really focusing on the weight. It is coming off slowly, which is really supposedly the healthier way for that to happen anyway. So I'm going to just focus on the training and hopefully that follows out. So now, when did you make the leap? So you went couch to 5K, and it took you probably a little extra time than you thought.
Took me, this is kind of funny. It took me, not that it's a crazy long time, but it took me, I think, like 46 minutes. And that's a totally flat course.
On your first 5K, you mean?
On my first 5K, yeah. And my whole family came to a 5K. Like, my whole family was there with signs and everything, and it was this whole big to do. It really was to me, I was thinking, wow, that's going to be an amazing feeling for us and over that finish line, and it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember your very first race.
I do. I do.
It was crazy, and
I came in third to last. Well, fourth to last, and two of the people that came in last were they walked it. They walked the entire course.
Wow.
The guy that came in third to last was a friend of mine who stopped and played basketball while we ran the race, and then let me beat him.
That's funny. But I do remember crossing over that and thinking that was the hardest thing I literally have ever done in my life. I thought, imagine anybody running twice that, doing a 10K. Imagine that. And I'm telling you, I thought I just couldn't even imagine doing that.
And now you've done 2 marathons.
Yeah. I think when people say that running is addictive, and back, many years ago, I'm like, how could you get addicted to that? That looks awful. But it's addictive. I'm totally addicted, without a doubt.
And too, you talk about how hard of an effort, how much effort you had to put in just to finish a 5K, and all the weeks of training before that 5K.
Yep.
And then and the thought of actually being able to run 26.2 after that has to be so daunting and such a. Yeah. But you know what? It's that thing that once you kind of taste that success of crossing that finish line, you want a little bit more, and then you want a little bit more, and then you want a little bit more.
That's exactly what it is.
And it's for me, I don't get that runner's high so much when I'm running, but it's after I finish, and it's that happiness that you did it, that feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And sometimes I finish that race, and I'm like, I'm never doing this again. And then a day later, 2 days later, I'm signing up for the next one.
Yep.
On that note, let's cut to the break, and then we'll circle up and we'll figure out where we're going to go from here. We'll be right back with Katy Mayo. Hey guys, my friend Lauren is creating an incredible resource for runners and triathletes. It's called raceadvisors.com. She has amassed a list of thousands of races, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, marathons, ultramarathons, and triathlons, and anything in between. If you're thinking about running a race, look it up and check out the reviews. Have a favorite race of your own? Look it up. See what others have to say about it. Or better yet, leave a review of your own. Raceadvisors.com. Read it, race it, review it. I may not have a lot of hair, but I tell you, I know style when I see it. And I know you guys and gals with the flowing locks, you need something functional to keep that hair out of your face when you go on your daily run. And I have just the thing for you. It's called Greasy Girl Headbands. And I know what it sounds like, but it's not spelled that way. It's GREECIE, girlheadbands.com. They make headbands that are specially designed for the runner to keep that hair out of your face, out of your eyes when you're out there on your daily run. So check them out. GreasyGirlHeadbands.com, GREECIE, and find a design that's perfect for you. All right, we're back from break with Katy Mayo. So we were talking about how we set goals and how we've had on this podcast. We hear the same story often, and it's like person loses weight. Person runs a 5K, trains hard, then runs a 10K, runs a half marathon, runs a marathon. And it's like the stories we hear, they repeat often, but they're always unique and they're always different. And it's always because it's such I think, the sense of accomplishment is so personal from person to person. The stories are, even though they're the same, they're different.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I love hearing them. I love hearing the different stories. And so it was funny because you just started saying oh, we have ultra marathoners on the podcast, but the stories sound the same.
Yeah.
And I think and it's to what we were talking about before. It's like you get that sense of accomplishment when you cross the finish line, and where do you end? Some people they just can't. Yeah. They can't stop. So they do 26.2, then they do an ultra, and they do 50, and then they do 100. I
can tell you something. That will not be me. That will not be me. 26 is about it for me. So, but I have different goals, and I'd like to say they're not time goals, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that, because you know how it is. So
let's talk about this. Let's kind of frame this story a little bit, because you've done the Marine Corps Marathon twice.
Yep.
Now, we've kind of skipped over that part from when you went to the 5K to the marathon. And that's, we understand that that's sort of the journey that you went through.
Right.
So you cross the finish line. So first of all, what made you sign up for the first Marine Corps Marathon?
I saw it online somewhere, and it just looked like an amazing experience.
Well, let me ask you this.
Just looked...
Do you have a connection to the military? Because I know that you and I, we ran a Marine Corps 5K.
No, a little bit. I mean, a couple of family members, but that's probably not why I ran it. Although my nephew just became a Marine like 2 weeks ago. So that's kind of cool. But
now you have to run it again this year.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. So you found it and you just decided. Yeah. That was the one for you.
I don't know. I got like the goal. I got it in my head.
Yeah.
And I just was like, you know what? I think I can do this. So anyway, and then there were a couple of friends of mine who decided they were going to do it too, like a one and done kind of a thing. Let's just all do it once together, and then we'll be done with it.
Yeah.
And we'll do it sort of as a pack. So if we all die together, it'll be okay.
So did you guys all finish together, or did you run the whole thing together?
No, we all ran at different paces, because we're all at different skill levels, and some have been running longer, and
that race, the thing about that race, and especially, if you're, like I'm on the slower side for the most part, but if you're like a 5+ hour marathoner, like you have to worry about mile 16 or 17 they beat the bridge.
Now we have 3 checkpoints we need to worry about. Uh-oh. Yeah, they added the third one on last year. So there's one at mile 10 or 11, the gauntlet, and then the big one at the bridge.
Yeah.
Which is really tough. And then right after you get over the bridge, there's another one going into Crystal City now. Like they added that one on last year, but I mean, the bridge is the big. It's like
14-minute mile, right? Or 16-minute mile.
14. It's 14. Yeah, it's 14. Which I mean, when I ran it the first year, I was pretty convinced. I mean, that I could, that I could maintain the 14, because I was at like a 12 or something during training. But my average pace when I finished was 13:59. That was the average pace for the first one.
Well, that's all right. You were probably slower, like once you crossed the bridge. Like Stephanie and I ran it in 2015, which is I think probably the year before.
Year before, yep.
You did it, and we did like a pretty heavy, consistent run walk until the bridge, and we got there late. That was the year that it was raining and the metal detectors went down, and we were there. We were there early, but then it was. So we were nervous, and they did extend the bridge time, but they didn't. There's no way for them to tell you that, so nobody knew.
Oh, that's right. Well, how would they? That's right. Yeah, were they going to put a loudspeaker to 30,000 people?
So there was no way. So you had to. We knew what time to get to the bridge, and once we crossed the bridge, and we knew, then we walked more often. Yeah, but It is a really good race. It's
a great race. Yeah. And you know what I think I like about it too? And I just feel like the people that run Marine Corps, there's a lot of like regular, there's a lot of back of the pack people, and there's a lot of first timers, like a lot.
Yeah.
I just feel like with some and I'm not knocking Boston because I'm from Boston, but I feel like Boston has a different vibe to it. More elite athletes.
Yeah, certainly.
I think they almost, I don't want to say this because I'll probably offend somebody, but I feel like they almost frown upon the 6-7 hour people, whereas
Yeah.
Marine Corps seems to almost embrace that.
I can see where I think a lot of people, you can get into Boston running for charity,
Right.
but there's so much of a stigma around qualifying for Boston and doing all that so you get a lot, and it's a prestigious thing. So you get a lot of competition for those qualifying spots. And then, so I think that's what brings a lot of the competitiveness there. And then a lot of people that have, think about it, you train for 10 years and you finally BQ and then you get there and, you're next to some schlep like me who is running for a charity.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and it's
that's
like,
what I mean.
I can understand it in a certain degree, but still Boston Marathon is the Boston Marathon. And it's just, it's one of those things. And it's your backyard, or should I say backyard?
Yeah. Backyard. That's how you say it. Backyard.
So, I mean,
my daughter still thinks that she's like, Mom, you got to do Boston. I'm like, I don't know. She just did an internship at Children's Hospital. And she's like, they have a huge team, Mom. She's like, I can talk to them about a bib or whatever. And I'm like, all right, let me get through Marine Corps and then I'll think about it. But it's a hefty charity. Between $5,000 and $6,000.
Yeah. I think I had to raise I want to say 3,000 for Cancer Society for New York City. Yeah. And you know what? It was my first year of losing all the weight. It was sort of easy to do it because it was sort of inspirational story and people loved watching it. So my joke was that, the first year they give you $100, the second year they'll give you $50, and the third year they'll give you the finger.
Yeah. That's kind of true. Yeah, you're right about that. So, but I am running for a charity this year. We run for the same charity every year, Fisher House. So, helping veterans' families.
That's right. And that is a great charity. But it is. Stephanie and I are also. It's on our list next year is to get to MCM next year.
You think you'll really go?
So what we want to do, we're going to both apply for the lottery.
Yep.
If we both get in, that's great. If one of us gets in, then the other one of us will do it for charity.
We'll but so then because now I have to go back next year. Because if you guys are going to run it, right?
You have to. We've got quite a crowd because I know, and one of the girls from the group, Sarah Bauman, I've
seen her. Yep.
She got in and she's going to defer to next year. A good friend of ours, Aura Kennedy, she got in and she's going to defer to next year.
Oh, there you go.
So I think we're going to have a pretty decent, a pretty decent crew down there. And, that'd be cool. Maybe I got to have some ordinary marathoner MCM shirts printed out for the occasion.
Definitely. You can pretty much count me in.
You're in.
If you do it 5 times, then you're in for life.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Oh.
That's the Runners Club. Once you do it 5, there's no more lottery or anything. You're in.
You're in. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, you're in. Yeah.
That's great. So you got a couple more.
There's my next goal.
All right, so you know what? So let's go. Speaking of goals, let's go back.
Yes.
All right, so you've done the MCM twice, and you said that you're going back this year, and you're talking about goals, and you're talking about how they shouldn't be timed, but you kind of have a goal in mind. Why don't you tell us about that? I do.
Yeah. So when I ran it the first year, I finished in 6:26, I think.
Yeah.
And then last year, I thought I was better trained. I thought I was better. I didn't have a great race last year. I finished in 6:25, a whole minute faster, which kind of.
But you felt better you thought you were better than the year before.
I thought I was better. I really thought I was going to do better last year. I felt like I should have. I did everything right. I followed the plan. I never missed anything, which again, I'm doing the same thing this year. So if I don't get any better this year, I don't know what's going to happen. But I'd like to at least just be under 6 if I can do it. Just 5:59 would be perfect. So,
right, but you said you're following the plan. You're following the plan again this year, but the plan is different.
It is different, yeah.
And so now you've gotten you're doing more like a heart rate training.
I'm doing it's all heart rate training. So now, I have a
give us a little
heart rate. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So I have a coach, a new coach, and it's all heart rate based training. So we don't talk about pace, we don't talk about miles. Everything is done by heart rate. You have different zones. I mean, you probably know how it works, but you have like a recovery zone, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. And she puts my plan together based on the zone that I'm supposed to stay in.
Right.
So So when I set my watch and I go for a run, like this morning I did, I still did 5 miles, but I had to stay in a certain zone. And the funny thing is, it kind of takes a lot of pressure off you because, when you're looking at your pace, you're like, oh, I went under. Oh, now I'm over. Like, oh, I want to beat that pace. I want to get down to a 10 or whatever it is. When you run by heart rate, as soon as I'm out of the zone, I have to walk because she'll yell at me if I don't. She'll say, like, you're defeating the whole purpose of this. So I don't know. It's different. And the long runs, too, they don't kill me anymore because whatever the heart rate is that I'm supposed to run them at, I can maintain that heart rate.
Right. And are you running almost the whole time during the long runs, or you taking?
It depends. No, I'll still have to walk a little bit because I start like my long runs now, the first like 70 minutes, I think, are in a slower zone. And then the next 40 minutes, I bump up to the next zone. But I never have to walk anymore because I'm out of breath, which is an awesome feeling.
That's really,
I only walk now because I look at my watch and I'm like, oh crap, I'm supposed to be, 2 beats down or whatever. And I'll walk to get my heart rate down, but I'm never out of breath anymore, which is an unbelievable feeling. Still slow.
But that's got to make to a certain degree, that has to make your run a little bit more enjoyable, that you're not suffering.
So much better because, last year, the year before, going out for the long runs, like I'd be all nervous tonight. I'd be like, oh my God, it's going to beat me up. I'm going to be out of breath the whole time. And oh my God, what if I have to walk? And I have to walk so much. Now it's a whole different way of looking at it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I have to stay and she tells me to walk. So it's okay now that I walk. So, it's all in my head, I guess, but it's definitely more enjoyable. Like I don't mind my long runs at all anymore.
So I see, you post your runs when you finish them, and I take a look at it usually, and I look at your stats, and it seems like you've kind of been around that 12-minute mile pace, which is gonna crush 6 hours if you. I
know that.
I know. And it's just a matter of whether or not you stay at that pace. Now let me ask you this: so during the race.
Yep.
Are you going to be following the heart rate, or are you going to be following the pace?
I think I'm going to ask her because I've done a few races since I started the heart rate training. So my first 5K that I did, the BAA 5K, was amazing. I did it in like 31 minutes, which for me is like unheard of.
Right, and I remember when we did the 5K together, and you were trying. Your goal was that 10-minute mile, and you were close.
Yep.
You were very close.
But that day, I sucked that day for some reason. But that's all right. You know what?
Good days and bad.
I'm putting them behind me too. You know what I mean? But I've done I did the half in Boston, the Run to Remember. And I think I was at like a 11:45 pace or something.
Ah.
Yeah. And then when I've done a couple of 5 miles since then. Like I did this one down the Cape a couple of weeks ago that it was unbelievably hot and humid and hilly. Oh my God. And that was an average of 11:45 for the pace too. So the deal is when you train, you have to stay, within whatever zone it is. But when you race, it's just go.
All bets are off.
Yeah, all bets are off. Just go as best you can. And that's what that's what I've been doing. So now I don't know, the last time I ran a race, the one down the Cape, I said to her, you know what? Can I run by heart rate instead of doing by pace? Because I think the pace now freaks me out.
Oh, right. Okay. Mentally kind of like.
Even though it's the same thing, like stay between 148 and 158 or whatever it is, the pace is still the same, but it doesn't freak me out as much.
Right. But that makes sense. You know what? If you're running a 12-minute mile, and you start, and it's mile 20, and you start to like really start getting pain, and it's like if you're trying to stay within that pace, that number, the pace number, it's only gonna get more painful.
Exactly.
But if you're staying in a heart rate area, it's a little bit different. Like, look, you have to slow down. That's the heart rate. You have to slow down.
Exactly. You're gonna
So it's
I'm hoping that's gonna I'm hoping that's going to help me.
I wonder if you could blend it. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if you could like start the race trying to do 12-minute miles, and then and then at the halfway point, or always have a number in mind where if your heart rate hits, I don't know, like 140 or whatever, then you slow down or something. I don't know what your numbers are. I'm just throwing out numbers.
Right. No, I get it.
So I don't know. I wonder if, something to think about. I'm sure you've been thinking about it for a long time.
Of course. Yeah. I obsess over it. But, I don't share that with too many people, although I just shared it with everybody that's going to listen to this podcast.
Don't worry. It's not too many.
It's kind of funny. But even like today, I went out and, I was a little frustrated today because I'll tell you, the heart rate training, it's tough not to get frustrated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's because you feel like, especially on those hot days, I take like 5 steps. I'm like, damn it, I got to walk. And then you wait for it to come down, and it comes down pretty fast.
Yeah.
And then you take like 20 more steps, and it's already up again. And then you got to walk again. And it can be really, really frustrating.
Does that happen often? Because I feel like sometimes there's like a warm-up period where like I do the same thing. If I go out too fast, it's like I've crushed myself.
That's exactly what happens. And so I'm getting better at like starting out slowly instead of, because if she gives me a range, I'm always like, all right, I'm going to get right to the top of the range and I'm going to stay there because that's where I feel like I should be. But now I'm getting better about, starting out slowly so that doesn't happen. And, but there's a recovery zone where it's so slow, it's more of a walk. It's like a walk, run. And I asked her the other day, I go, really, what is the point of this? And she goes, these are so beneficial. They I don't know, they flush out the acid, and
lactic acid or whatnot.
This and the other thing. She's like, these are, you can't even believe how beneficial they are. And I'm like, okay.
I did a lot of runs and they weren't. Now, when I trained for my first marathon, I stuck to the American Cancer Society program, and he used to say we had the zones, but we didn't have a heart rate monitor. It was just basically by feel, and we had a quote recovery zone, which was for me like just a very, very super slow jog, like talking 14-minute miles pace.
Yep.
And I think what that taught me, because that was my PR, was my first race, and I think what it taught me was I could still run very slowly, but then recover to the point where then eventually I could run faster again. It's just like there was a pace that I could run that was so slow that I could, instead of like just keep driving yourself into the ground and getting more pain, that you could actually get back to that, the pace that you were at when you started. So ever since I stopped, and now it's funny because now that you mentioned it and now that I thought about it, like I kind of stopped that type of training altogether. And that's one of my problems is that I don't, I run until I can't run anymore and then I stop and I walk. And then, whereas before it was like I could have slowed down.
And I think that's what this kind of teaches you how to do, because that's exactly what I was doing. And she said, once you hit a certain point, there is no recovering. Like if you get to that point, there's no recovering. Like you can try to walk and then you'll take like 2 steps and you're done and you'll never be able to fully recover from that.
I believe that. I believe that.
That's what happened at the end of Marine Corps too. Full time. Yeah. Like by mile 18, I think I was already
and it hurts so bad, but obviously you pushed through, and I've been there too where I'm doing half marathons in the beginning where I remember finishing and then laying down and being like, I don't even know if I could go to my car, after that. But
then the nenext day you were probably like, when can I do the next one?
It was a couple hours later, actually. I was like, I got to do another. But, I think that was my first half. And when I finished that one, I remember finishing it. I ran like 12 and a half miles and walked the last bit. And it bothered me so much that my goal was I got to do this again, and I have to conquer it on my terms and not on the race's terms.
Well, it's funny because that's how I feel about Marine Corps. Like as soon as I finished last year, I'm like, you know what, this isn't sitting right with me, and I need to try to make this better. And I also think, well, in my head, I'm thinking if it's not, like if I come at like 6:25 or another minute faster, how am I going to feel?
How are you going to deal with that?
I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. She keeps telling me I'm going to be pleasantly surprised.
I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised too, but I'm rooting for it. I don't want to jinx you at all either.
I know. So we'll see.
I think you're going to have a lot of people down on the discussion group rooting for you. It's
thanks. Yeah, they're a great group of people. I love them.
They are. They're really super supportive.
I know they are. And even the people that are like super athletes, like you guys, the Ironmans and everything, but you're all just regular people.
It's all, you know what it is? It's all relative, right? It's all, I mean, I can't do some of those ultra marathons. I don't know that I'll ever be able to do them. Maybe if I really put my focus on it, I could, but it's like, you were talking about that, like you're done at 26.2. And it's like, the thought of going much further than that in a run for me is like, even doing the triathlons, like the thought of just running more than that is like, ugh. And yet,
people do it.
Jen Bergstrom's doing it. Ramon Burmo ran 200 miles. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. But they enjoy that. Like we enjoy the 26.2. Yep. So,
do we enjoy the 26.2?
Oh no! And when I say enjoy,
we enjoy it when it's over. Is what we enjoy.
And you got to enjoy the process too. Otherwise,
definitely.
And it's there's ups and downs, but I think in the end, when you set a goal like that, and you hit it, it's it gives you a feeling like there's like no other. It's just because.
And honestly, even if for some reason now, and I can say this and I can really mean it, if for some reason I wasn't able to finish Marine Corps, like anything can happen. I don't think that's going to crush me or kill me, because honestly, I think the training is much harder than the actual race itself. Right?
Oftentimes, yeah. And so I DNF'd the Ironman a couple weeks ago, but I didn't do the training. I didn't train hard enough, and I knew I didn't train hard enough. So it's almost
I think it worked. I think it worked to your advantage, because look at you now, you're killing it.
In the last month, I've done really well, and things are. I don't think my bike has ever been as strong as it is right now, and yet that was the one event that I got crushed on. So and now I'm like, I look at some of the workouts I'm doing, I'm like, man, where did this come from? Like, I almost think that the Ironman, the failing at the Ironman, A, it was good for me mentally, but B, it was actually a really good workout. Like I haven't, it was a half the bike course, but that bike course is really difficult. And I think it, maybe just helped.
Like it was.
Yeah. It just, it helped me get going. And now I kind of know what I'm facing for next year. And I got to get on that. I'm excited for that. I'm excited. I'm super excited for your race. I'm doing Hartford Marathon October 13th, which is like a week before.
That's the week before, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So what do you say we both we'll go 1-2 punch. I'll beat my 5 hours. You beat your 6 hours. Yeah. And then we'll have to go and meet somewhere in betwing Boston and here.
Yeah, definitely.
And have a drink.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Stephanie can drive since she's not allowed to drink.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll have to celebrate. And I'll definitely go if you guys go next year. So, baby and everything, right?
We've already, my friends are doing a half Ironman in Mont-Tremblant, Canada in June, and I signed up for it. So I'm doing that trip. So next June, and then I'm doing Ironman in July and Placid, because I feel like I have to go back and redeem myself. Of course. Yeah. And then
I get that.
And then Marine Corps is our next one. And we're actually, so one of the things that we're planning is, so obviously Stephanie's due in November. Is we're going to plan, we want to try to do a video series and have her do a Couch to 5K and do it as a video series.
That. Yeah. Yep.
And so she's really excited to get going on that. But you think about it, she's going to be starting in the new year on a Couch to 5K. Yeah. And then running Marine Corps Marathon in October. So that's a pretty good, Couch to 5K all the way to marathon is a pretty good progression.
Yep.
So.
Oh yeah.
Good luck to her.
Yeah. I wasn't going to, and having a baby. Yeah.
Yeah. But
somebody asked me actually just the other day, my daughter said, so what was worse, Mom? The marathon or giving birth? And I'm like, I don't know. They were both pretty bad. One of them was just a lot longer. Luckily, I think the baby's like really fast, but the marathon was like 6 hours of like hell. So, so I don't know. That one's still up in the air for me.
So how many miles you got tomorrow morning?
I think I have 11 tomorrow. Okay. Somewhere between 11 and 12, because I also run by time. So I have like 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or some
So it's
crazy,
right, yeah.
like 2 hours and 19 minutes or something.
Gotcha.
So, and I'm going with a group tomorrow, and I always run my long runs alone. So
right.
this
That'd be
is
interesting with the
gonna
heart
be-
rate training, how you deal with the
Yeah,
group.
I have to, and I already told them. I said I got to stick to my thing. You guys do what do what you have to do. So we'll see.
All right. Well, good luck to you tomorrow morning.
Thanks.
We'll be watching you. We'll be cheering you on all the way up to Marine Corps Marathon this year and next year.
That's right. That's right.
I got a feeling. I got good feelings for you this year.
Thanks, God.
I think you've been working really hard, and it would be a shame for it not to pay off. But you got a lot of support. So
I know I do. I know I do. Yeah, and I appreciate all of it too.
Yeah, we wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure we'll be in touch going forward. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Now, see, this wasn't so bad.
No, it wasn't at all. No, it's just like talking to you. So,
yeah, it's not so bad. I'm glad you felt comfortable. I didn't want to force you into it, but I think we did good.
Totally fine.
That's one of my better episodes. I think I think this was a nice, comfortable conversation. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
All right. So we'll cut it there, and all
right.
We'll see you guys next week. And I don't know. I've been kind of playing the show by ear because my training's been going so well that I just like it's like Katie knows. It's like I think I called her. I talked to her this morning. I'm like, you want to come on the show? we've been trying to do this for like a long time though. And I've been trying to get her on the show. There's a couple times where I had I think problems with the equipment, and a couple times we didn't get Skype going the way we thought. But I'm glad we got this done, and so I'm sure I'll find someone else to come on the show next week. I got another, Ben Hinton is going to come back on. He's trying to his long-term goal is to qualify for the Olympics. The guy is nuts.
Oh God.
Yeah. He takes too many pictures with his shirt off too. He's got to put his shirt back on. We're going to talk to him about that, but he's coming on in September. I also got a guy named Triathlon Taryn, who's a Canadian. He's got a YouTube channel. He puts out YouTube videos every day. I've been watching it lately. Pretty popular dude. Good guy too. He seems pretty funny guy. I enjoy his YouTube channel. Maybe it's something for my YouTube channel to aspire to be like, but he's going to be on too. He's going out to do a half Ironman for a couple weeks. And when he comes back, we're going to lasso him in and have him on the show too. So a lot to look forward to in the coming weeks, along with marathon season. We are here, and last few weeks of training, until a lot of these big marathons, Marine Corps Marathon, one of them, we'll see how things go. And until next week, always remember, when it comes to running, I'm no expert. I'm just ordinary.